All right, all right. Welcome to the show, fellas. I appreciate you being here. Weird schedule today, I know. One moment, there we go. Hopefully that'll stay. I know, I apologize about that. I was hoping to do our normal morning show today, but just a bunch of crazy schedule stuff been going on. And I also had this I know I have this awareness a lot, but I get into streaming like super fucking hardcore and I don't stop. And then I kind of have a sort of sense of, oh my God, I need to take a break. So like we streamed last week and then Saturday we did like and then what we do like Friday, we did like I just thought it was a delightful chat with Alyssa that was on Friday. That was like 4.5 hours. The day before we did like a 4.5 hour stream with Wick TV. Yesterday we did D&D. The day before that we did games. We did games late last night. And I was just like, oh, I'm exhausted. So I'm only now kind of poking my head up and going, okay, I'm ready to kind of, I took a little bit of a break. So point being, I apologize. We'll be back to normal tomorrow. But today is just kind of a shoot the shit free stream we can talk about. You can call in. Let me put the number up there. Tech Protect's not with us right now. He'll be back tomorrow, so I'm not going to worry about the pacing of the show, which means I'm going to do my best to guarantee the calls don't go long or if they're boring, but I don't give a fuck. I mean, I care, of course. I want you to be entertained, but I've never been good at being able to, focus on that. Let me put I'm going to pin it to the top of the YouTube real quick. So you guys have it over there. Obviously we're on Twitch as well. So if you're on Twitch or Twitter, and you don't see it, not a problem, pal. Just let me know and I'll post it again. Okay, Addy Pie, you're missing the point. Addy Pie says, I don't think you should ever do D&D live. It's long and no one shows up. I don't agree with you. Look, here's the deal. There are a handful of people out there that are capable of streaming Dungeons and Dragons to a regular, meaningfully large audience. If you're talking about, comparatively speaking. And I get that, and no one comes to my channel for the most part because I'm a D&D guy, but I am a games channel and I love games that feel like adventures. And as I'm discovering D&D and I'm playing a great campaign right now, we had more people watching yesterday, which wasn't many than the week before. Maybe we'll build it up, maybe we won't, but that's okay. I mean, I like doing it. Enough people show up and they tell me they like it. But what the good news for you is, now that on Sundays from 3:00 California time to around 7, that's when we're doing D&D, at least for the next couple of months. And in that, just don't come to the channel. Cause I saw you there yesterday. Now I will also say, and I don't know, I don't know if I'm going to commit to this. It depends on so many things, but watching Collide, Collide's the second dungeon master I worked with. Hector Howell is now the new one. And I will say that it makes me kind of want to make a game, like a D&D game, like actually design one and run it on the channel. Not as the main thing I do on the channel, but maybe when Project Sigil comes out so it can be, visually more dynamic and stuff. It's the thing you have to understand about Dungeons and the Dragons, man, I'll give you a great example. Yesterday we were playing and this giant Hydra head comes up from the water. And for me as a player in video games, it's what I've played most of my life. You're very limited to what the designers and the code lets you do. When you've got a great creative dungeon master like Hector yesterday, it's like, hey, I'm doing God of War shit in that game. I'm a dwarf archer or ranger. I leapt into this motherfucker, into his mouth. I took my explosive arrow and shot it into his fucking brain pan and did like 90 points of damage. And then I was going to dive into his stomach and gut him from the inside, but Retro Gaming Queen just killed him outright. So you can't do that in a video game unless the team spends like 9 months going, let's build that boss for that scenario along with 20 other scenarios. And then that's it. We're out of time. Right. So, I get it's not for everybody. But if you are, if you like adventure games, it's hard to bitch about it. Let's see. D&D Live was fun, says Jonathan. Yeah, he was there. I didn't think I would be into it, but I checked it out last time. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, the hardest part about watching other people play D&D when it's not edited is it's not edited. and you've got a lot of, it's like watching fantasy football. It's like, well, what about this guy? I'll trade you it's you need somebody to go in and add the effects and all that if you want to make it ready for prime time. But that's not what my channel's about. But there's plenty of channels out there. Kevin South, thank you for the super chat, buddy. I appreciate it. He says, given Bob Dole's comments on violent video games, what do you think is the most violent game kids are playing? Doom, Duke Nukem, or Mortal Kombat? Well, it's a good question. The most violent, I mean, I know you're joking and I appreciate it, and I appreciate the super chat. But what I will tell you about that, though, is that we in this, even in the gaming culture, let alone people who watch gaming from the outside, we don't really understand yet the psychological effects of gaming. And I don't mean that like violence. I mean that like what anybody who plays games knows that there are two versions of the game you're playing. There is the surface version of the game, which is what other people see. Oh, I'm going through dungeons and killing dragons, or I'm going through Mortal Kombat championships and ripping people's skulls out. But very quickly, if you really actually play the games, those become metaphorical at best. And you really are focused on the gameplay and the game pieces of like, okay, how do I get close enough to Scorpion to do this move? And I've been playing, you're gamers, you know what I'm talking about, right? So actually what I would argue is there probably are video games out there that have been very useful to get people violent, if that is the goal. But it's not the surface games. It's games that teach things metaphorically through the mechanics that might then send you out into the world with an unintended consequence. But I don't think it's any of those, is what I would say. What the fuck, Jaffe, says Fonzie. How is going into dungeons the surface version? Yeah. Okay. Mike says, I watched your Ninja Gaiden stream high as a kite, and watching you miss the jump made me laugh so much. I meant to give you $1 to say go to the left, but didn't see where to type it and just gave you $1. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, man, I've been loving the shit out of that game. Kevin says it's your show, do what you want. Yeah, I know that, man, and I appreciate that. But I do want to build the channel. I want people to enjoy coming here. I want people to go, hey, this is a great, channel on YouTube and Twitch and all that shit. And so, I definitely want to make sure that, yeah, of course I'm doing what I want, but I also do want to serve an audience. Okay. What's getting worse though is my fucking facial tics, man. I got to go see a doctor and say, look, these ADD drugs are great. I can't handle it anymore. It takes too much energy. I don't like them. Okay. Yeah, check it out. Ghetto, check out the D&D show. Absolutely. It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, it's not going to be a casual thing, but why everything doesn't have to be that, sometimes I'm going to play it anyway. Right. And so I might as well stream it to people who like it. Totally cool. Jaffe, excellent interview streams over the past few weeks. I appreciate thoughtful people being on with you, says Arathizzle. Thank you, buddy. I listen, let me tell you something about the specifically Alyssa Mercante. And I see you in there, Pompous. I'll bring you on in a second. I did not have any idea what to expect. I had heard, and I'm progressive as fuck, man. I'm the most progressive guy, but I have heard all the stuff you guys have heard about her. And I was just like, I don't, this may not go well. And I'll tell you something. I so enjoyed that conversation. I thought she was delightful. She was funny and interesting and smart and well thought. And she wasn't all about only one side like she's painted. She had sympathy for a lot of people that are getting taken for a ride by others. I thought she was great. I really enjoyed that chat, and I hope to have her back on. Jaffe, thoughts on China catching up on AI for a fraction of the cost? Yeah. I mean, look, thank you, Kate Nubs. Yeah. I mean, it's exactly what Mark Cuban was saying when he was on Bill Maher about 4 months ago. He's like, all of the regulations that, he says, this is the scary part about regulating AI. And I get that China didn't catch up simply because they weren't all that regulated, but it was more about spending a shit ton of money, and maybe there are people working on it at that particular company or smarter, or they got lucky, or all these things. But the point being, though, is that you don't want to lose an AI war to China, because if you do, we're all pretty much fucked. Not well or not, depends if you want to be run in a country like China, right? But they will use that influence to affect culture and affect people's the way we think. And our culture in America is so poor when it comes. I mean, I want you to think about this. This is fascinating to me. You've got China, who sides often with Russia, and maybe that's good, maybe that's bad, depending on your view. I don't think it's very good. China does a lot of things really great, but I think there's a human rights issue over there that's worse than our own human rights issues here in America for the most part. And you know, I want you to just take gaming culture on the internet. It doesn't mean anything. So I'm going to use a phrase here that makes it sound more important than it is. But gaming on the internet, we are at each other's throats right now, right? And it's stupid. It doesn't matter. It's not real, right? But the point is, our view of the world when it comes to video games, as it relates to being on Twitter or the internet or forums, whatever, is so manipulated. And so both sides have such a small basis in fact. And yet you've got all these, as Alyssa called it, foot soldiers who are going to war for their side on the internet, which again, it's meaningless except for the people who are making money off it. So now imagine, my point is, we don't have great media literacy in this country. We are very easily led by the powers that be to be angry when they want us to be angry. Pretty much angry is the only thing they want. Now imagine if China, with their politics and their sense of human rights and their sense of this, that, and the other that you may or may not like, they get control even more of how we're thinking and how we're being manipulated. This is terrible. It's terrible. I mean, it's terrible all around. But I will also say that China does this thing that I hate, but I love, which is it's a lot less regulated when it comes to science, right? So if you want to do a human head transplant, for example, if you're going to do it anywhere in like a country that's got some money, it's going to be China. There was a guy who went to China who's like, I'm going to try this. I haven't heard what he's done over there, but they do a lot more stuff. They're not tied into religion like we are. They're not tied into sort of, for better and worse, sort of the Puritan morality that we have built our society on. And so things like stem cell and medicine and stuff like that, they are doing things that we sometimes correctly, sometimes not correctly, would frown upon. And I imagine when you're talking about Skynet in the chat with AI, yeah, they'll probably be like, fuck it. You know, let's get as fast as we can to super intelligence. So, you know, Shasalai says maybe U.S. parents should focus on their kids' studies versus gaming. Go to cram schools. In China, because job market is so competitive, people don't get amenities Americans get. I mean, there is some truth to that, but there's also a great deal of truth to the fact that we have had that kind of capitalism longer than China. And in that, Americans have woken up to the fact that working hard, going to school, getting good grades, that's not a free pass to success like it used to be promised, right? And so it's very difficult for today's younger generation to believe that horseshit. I'm not saying they shouldn't study. I'm not saying they shouldn't go to college if they want to. I'm not saying they shouldn't focus on trades and things that can educate them and or that they can be educated in and get them jobs and stuff. I'm just saying that this idea that, study really hard, be really smart, and you'll win. I think the youths of America realize that's really not the way it works anymore. Pompous, it's Jaffe. What's going on, bud? Pompous, you're on the show if you want to talk. If you don't, there's nothing I can do for you. This is your one chance to talk to me unless I give you another. Eddie T says, I don't even like AI being used in my entertainment. No longer want to watch The Brutalist after hearing AI was heavily used. Yeah, it doesn't bother me, but I get it. Some people do.
Hello.
Pompous, what's going on, bud?
What's up, man? Just me in my car here.
Absolutely. You're the delivery guy, right? You're delivering shit. Is that right or no?
Yeah. Hey, I had so many things. Most important one, man, you should get Cliffy B back on your show.
I would. I get the sense that he doesn't really, not that he doesn't want to come on the show, but I get the sense that he's kind of very limited, I guess, in what press he's willing to do when he's not really promoting something. So I'd love to have him back on anytime he wants to come in. But is there something specific you would want he and I to talk about?
Well, Gears, of course. Yeah, we should play E-Day together when that comes out. We could be like a parasocial friendship,
Absolutely. Only if you show us what's in back of your truck, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, here, let me ask you this. So I've been playing, I have this, and maybe this is just sort of my wishful thinking, my fantasy, but I've been playing a lot of Ninja Gaiden Black 2 or 2 Black, whatever the fuck it's called. Okay, yeah, I haven't beat it yet, but boy, it's so fucking good, right? And so I'm playing this and I'm going, what I'm playing today, I'm at chapter like 6 or 7, and I'm like, it's so focused in what it wants to be. It moves at a great clip. It clearly isn't that long of a game. And I was looking up some of the, it's in the top 10 on PlayStation games. It's in the top 10 on Xbox games right now. I assume it's doing well on Switch. Sorry, not Switch, Steam. I don't know how long it's going to stay at that position, but if it does well for them, I really hope they look at the pacing of that game and they go, you know what? I hope they're going to apply that to Ninja Gaiden 4. I hope they're going to apply that to the new Gears of War. There's something about, so much of the current games at AAA, out of necessity of cost and competing with games of service, there's nothing new to say, but they're so bloated that when you play something like Ninja Gaiden Black 2, you go, oh my God. It's not just nostalgia. It's like, it's such a pure understanding of what it does well. And all those resources and guns were aimed on just doing that well. I hope it's successful for them because I want E-Day and I want Ninja Gaiden 4 to not be the bloated messes that so many AAA games become and really go, hey man, Gears of War 1 and 2 and Ninja Gaiden Black 2, that's a pure shot of adrenaline. And I hope they build on that,
Well said. Yeah, Ninja Gaiden. I never played 2 because I got so mad at the first one. I got stuck. I got pissed. So it's the first time playing this one, but huge fan of it. Yeah, absolutely love it. Obviously, the camera angle is outdated, but sure. I played it on. To be fair, I played it on easy, but I did beat it. I wanted to rush through it. I thought it was amazing. I liked it a lot.
Incredible.
Again, I don't want to bury myself down into this thing the whole conversation, but this is this kind of like video game first, non-agenda driven type games.
No, you don't. No, that's not accurate. You're
okay. Well, can I argue it?
You can argue it, but I let me articulate it. What I think you're saying versus you saying what you think you're saying, but twisting.
Tell me how I really feel, David.
Here's how you really feel, because I think what you're describing doesn't have an agenda. You're talking about a sense of pacing. The game could be as political as the Dustborn or apolitical as the first Super Mario Brothers, right? It's not about that. It's about going, this game is first and foremost X, and we put everything into X, and we're here to entertain the fuck out of you, right? There's a purity and an intention of why it is what it needs to be. Now, that doesn't mean the game couldn't also be, quote, about something. But I think what you're talking more about is a focus on entertainment over telling a story and expressing an idea, whatever that idea in story may be.
Yes. So if you look at the Gears series, that was a pretty woke agenda story too. Like a lot of people that are like these meatheads that liked the old Gears, they don't even realize how woke that game was. I mean, it was based off of like, oil and wars and stuff. It was really well done. Like I'm not against DEI if it's done right. Actually, it's like, you ever seen Ferngully when you were a kid?
Yeah, that's a horrible movie, but yeah.
Well, you were probably an adult then, but
yeah, it was
Ferngully. Yeah, well, it had a good message. I don't know. It made me like.
It had a great message, but it was poorly written. Like Gears of War, people get upset when they hear Cliff say it was about the Iraq War, but whether it was intentional, accidental, or not, they did it right as a piece of entertainment, right? Because you could play it and see that if you were looking for it, or you could just see it as a big dumb action game. That's the best way to do entertainment if you want to give it a little pathos, don't you think?
Agreed. I I just think that a lot of this time and budget and a lot of these things, here, you can see me.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these times and things and all that, that people are spending on like agendas that are like based on story and all this, they put all the focus on that and then they forget about gameplay because of these things. So again, like DEI, when I say these things, it's not like I'm against any message. I'll listen to anybody's realm of it. But when you're spending so much time on the story and so much time on these things and crossing so many boxes, you're gonna be limited.
The problem though is you are marbling two aspects of game development, right? You're marbling
better.
Well, you would know better too. It's not because I've worked on them. I'm just saying, think about it for a minute, right? DEI can live in a game as focused as Ninja Gaiden or as bloated as not Ninja Gaiden, as say Forspoken, that some people would say is DEI. But DEI is not what we're really talking about, right? I think we're talking about Ninja Gaiden is Nintendo for adults. Right? Ninja Gaiden is basically, it's about the interactivity. It's about the art form that you are purchasing. You're purchasing a game. And that doesn't mean it can't have a story or a narrative or whatever, but it clearly puts I want to entertain the player via my gameplay first. A lot of games do that with graphics first, narrative first, production value first. And that's what I'm talking about. Whether or not the story is DEI heavy or it's direct from Fox News anchors is irrelevant. It's about, does it identify as a video game first and foremost and as a piece of entertainment first and foremost?
Agreed. Yeah, I think that like any realm of any topic in that matters, if the game is there, that's why we're there. And like any message, I don't know, I don't want to live my own story every time. So I think it's great that you
agree.
Have a lot of that. I agree. What did you think of the outdated camera on Black 2?
It's not good. It's bad. I mean,
did it ruin it?
Oh God, no. I mean, I look, I'm terrible at games, and I don't know if I'll be able to beat it on medium, but I'm currently playing it on medium, and I'm having a fucking absolutely wonderful time. Yeah, the camera takes a little getting used to, but here's what I would tell you. If the game required a lot of heavy exploration, it would be unbearable. But frankly, it's just kind of like going around corners to find boxes and things and then continuing. So 90% of the time it's fine. But yeah, I think the camera can be problematic. What I've found even more problematic is the main guy, Ryu, whatever his name is, he blends in so much with the other ninjas that a lot of time, and I get it, he's a ninja, but a lot of times he is you easily lose him on the screen. And whether it's an effect or a different outfit, I wish they would have done something to pop him more.
It's a compromise, but I kind of went into that playing like newer games. And if you use that RB button as almost a parry for the camera adjustment, you can readjust your character pretty well. Yeah. If you kind of use that camera button, the RB, I'm playing on Xbox, obviously. You can reset yourself, so it's almost like a parry for your camera. It's to compensate, of course, but it worked for me. It made a little bit of a difference when I looked at it that way when I played it.
Yeah. But no, the camera didn't really bother me. It's a sloppy enough game that it's not like, there are times where I was fighting that boss by the Statue of Liberty, and I would get backed up against a wall and I would try to use the dash away attack, but I was dashing in the wrong direction because there was no real visual cue for the invisible wall. But frankly, you can block so many fucking moves in that game that I didn't find myself dying. It was just kind of annoying. So I was cool.
I ruined it for myself playing it too low of a difficulty, I noticed. The last thing I was going to bring up is you're going to Locale Tech on Friday, right?
I believe so. That's the plan. Yeah.
I'm happy. I like JKB a lot. He's pretty cool. Rich is a different story. Rich is all right in some ways, but he was basically trying to compare himself to you in a sense, and then basically warned everybody way too many times that you're going to be very political and you're political. So just giving you a heads up. That's kind of like, I mean, if they kind of pre-warned everybody unnecessarily, in my opinion.
I'm coming to them because I think my producer reached out to them. I've had Rich on my show before. I don't know Jay at all, and I'll talk about whatever they want to talk about. If they want to talk about game design or gaming news, I'm there. If they want to go, what do you think of Trump? It's their show. So I'm just there to provide whatever they want me there for.
I have an issue with people that I'm just a consumer, so I'm going to kind of take the knee when I have conversations, especially
Okay.
people like you that have made things. But he kind of put himself in the same realm as you, but like you've created something and something great.
Well, I mean, in what? I mean, we're both kind of fat white guys.
I don't know. Just I guess because he's in the industry in some sense, and then I don't know. I hate Watch Rich, so I'm biased, but
got it. No, I've never had a problem with the guy, but I don't know all the history there. Like I don't watch a lot of other streamers. I'm too busy, and so I like him. He's always been nice to me. He seems like he cares about his dad, or he's a dad who cares about his kids.
Yeah,
seems
like
I don't think
he's not a bad dad. I don't think he's a lot of these things people say.
Most people aren't.
All right. He's just
Alyssa's not. I mean, seriously, again, unless Alyssa was just doing a fucking Edward Norton from Primal Evil, or I think it's called Prime Evil, where he was a fucking killer, but he pretended he wasn't. Unless she was just doing a total, shtick with me on my show, I thought she was great, and she's nothing like people said. It doesn't mean you're going to agree with her politics.
Well, who's that? Was that the girl that you were simping over when I first watched?
I guess I was simping over. I guess if you're nice to somebody, well, define what simping was, because
God, if you want to talk personally about that, I'd love.
Well, no. I'm asking you now. You're telling me on my show with people watching that I was simping over.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
I got no problem if I was. I'm not embarrassed.
All right.
Explain it to me. Define it.
I felt like there was. It's weird because you're not needy. You didn't come off needy at all, but like you just kind of said things, and then she's.
Well, give me an example.
Going along with it. Man, I don't want to stall your show trying to think of things now.
Well, call me back when you think of things. But I would advise you though that if you're going to accuse
I'm not being that serious either. I'm not being that serious. Okay.
Okay. I would be. I have defined.
You were simping a little though.
Simping means what though? Well, stop though. Simping.
How about this? You were likable in a way that a woman would like you but not bang you, and you were doing that kind of energy, and I'm not saying you're trying to bang her.
Why would I mean? She's in a relationship, and I
don't think that I could articulate what I'm trying to say correctly without being rude, or just even say it correctly. So I'd like to retract my statement.
Okay, I mean I'm not somebody who's going to push back on it. If you can define what simping was, and then in that definition you can say because simping is this, you did these three things. I'd go, oh yeah, I was. But I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess sometimes no. I'm gonna stop myself. And we can talk about that. I gotta kind of need that dough to be able to say that correctly. So I don't want to do that.
Okay. Well, if anybody hears what Pompous is saying and you can articulate it, I'm very curious.
I haven't even said it. All right. But I'm going to let you go.
I got other people want to chat, but it's always good talking.
Hey, I didn't mean to offend you.
You didn't offend me. I don't even know what it means, really.
Whatever you say.
All right, Pompous. Hey, seriously, drive safe out there. People are crazy, man.
I will. Last thing. Tell RTU to unblock Pompous.
Who? Rich?
RQ streams. Yeah. Tell him to
unblock me. You just said you didn't like him. You just said you didn't like him. Why would he unblock you?
Look, I sent one super chat and I said his little PP ruined my Christmas. And he blocked me. I was just joking.
Gee, I can't imagine why. No, if he didn't know you were joking. All right, Pompous. See you, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Hey, good talk, man.
You too. All right. I'll get to the text chat in just a couple of minutes, but let me bring on Peter. He's been waiting. Peter Ryan, a.k.a. Torque Mod. What's up, champion? How are you?
Hey, pretty good. So why are you ignoring me on Discord? You didn't like the pickle tickle I gave you the other night?
I don't know what even that means. Do you know what I got? Let me explain something to you. I have a Discord. I love Discord. Yeah. But I find Discord so irritating. Obnoxious. Yeah. Well, confusing, right? Because
me too. I
was playing this game called The Killing Antidote, right? Which I love. And I only today realized, oh, look, I have all these things. What are they called? I'm not saying they're like some exotic name, but I like message request, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I've never clicked that. I'm just like, I just don't notice it.
No, trust me.
Hang on. And one of the people who works on the game in America, she was like, oh, we saw, thanks for playing our game and saying nice things. And I just invited her to come on the show, right? Who's working on the game. That sat in my box for about 2 months. So it's not that I was ignoring her. I just never clicked the button.
I was teasing you, by the way. But yeah, Discord, I agree with you entirely. There's something with the UI of Discord that makes it so fucking different than any other chat program. It must be an age thing because I'm close to your age.
Where do I click? What did you send me on Discord? I'll look at it right now.
So on your Discord, in the top left corner, there's the little chat bubble.
Oh, you sent me a DM.
Direct message. I need a photo of you.
Oh yeah, use that. That's great. You're putting my shit in your game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go do that. That's great.
But I need a photo of you. I need you
Just
to send me a JPEG.
Huh? Someone get whatever you want.
No. The one that I want's already taken. I just need someone to send it to me.
If I have it, I'll send it to you. You got it.
Okay. Because you've got the problem is I got
it. No. Yeah, when I said I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. Yeah, no, people watching it, they're just like, I don't give a shit. You know.
Edward Norton movie, Primal Fear.
Yeah, man. That's the first time anybody noticed that guy, and it was like, fuck, at the end, that twist.
Yeah.
Come on.
No, it was freaking awesome. I don't think most people have that ability. I think all the people that you've been talking with, they're just regular people. But the internet is the internet, and everybody likes to accuse somebody of something.
Well, I was, this guy just now said I'm simping. Define simping, please.
I think I'm, again, it's not my generational word, but I think simp means that you're somebody who's willing to put a woman on a pedestal, and you act like they're better than you. And so I think either it means sympathetic, like you're a little too easygoing in what women say. You're white knighting for them and that kind of stuff. So I think
the reason people think that is I really agree with her. It's not. I mean, anybody who's watched my stuff, and it's really disappointing that people who have watched my stuff. Do you really think? Have you ever watched my show, Man or Woman? On the other end of the conversation, do you really think that I would placate someone just because they're a woman, or because I want to have a further relationship with them? I'd be curious what people thought she said that I was basically lying about agreeing with. I'm like,
no, and I think it's honestly, it's this generation's way. It's just an insult, right? It's a tease insult. They don't actually mean you were simping. But I think it's just a way of saying, "Oh man, come on, she's not as great as you're making her out to be, or something."
I really liked the conversation with her. If she were to call me back, listen to me. Listen to me. If she were to call me back and say, "Jaffe, I think we had great chemistry on the interview," I would say, "I think you're right." And if she were to say, "We should talk about doing a show once a week together," I'd say, "I'm into that." Now, if that's simping, I'm a simping motherfucker.
No, I was going to say,
I guess I simp for Colin Moriarty as well. I like when I find somebody that either I agree with or not, but I have a great conversation and connection with. And I felt I had a great conversation and connection with her. So, guilty, I guess.
I just looked it up on the Urban Dictionary. A simp is someone who will do nice things for his crush in order to win her affection. Simps can go as far as donating tons of money to a girl or whatever. So,
well, I don't donate to
you're just being a nice guy, and therefore you're a simp. According
I don't
to
think that I'm a nice guy to most people. I think it may have been that because she said things a lot of internet guys who don't like me disagree with. They can't fathom somebody else would actually agree with her. And I'm like, no, I agree with a lot of what she's saying, but I'm not nice to Turtle, but I don't agree with Turtle a lot of times.
Yeah. Watch, I can't imagine why you wouldn't agree with Turtle. He's got such grounded and
yeah, exactly. So, all right, buddy.
Person.
But yes, I'll try to find you that photo. If not, I'll just take another one.
Yeah, or I don't know if I can reach out to Rob Demott or somebody.
He doesn't
else.
have it. They're all on my computer. So
cool. Just anything that you can give me, it would be great.
You got it, buddy. All right.
Okay.
Remind me again, but now that I see it, I'll keep an eye out.
How do I remind you again? If you
now that I go, oh, that's that DM I needed to click on. Now I see it. I'll try to remember. If not, just bug me again. All right. Thanks, buddy. I didn't mean to cut you off, but Alien Doe over on Twitter says, I'm a huge fan of Dead Space. Yeah, no, me too. Especially I love the new one, the remake. Sorry, I lost him. Torque, I don't know what you were saying, but I didn't mean to cut you off, buddy. do not equate doing nice things, says Witch, to someone Muppet donating hundreds of dollars. That is not nice. That's crazy. Of course. Well, I don't even understand that, right? The idea that I just don't understand. Like, what are these individuals like? If you go on a date with someone, forget the internet, forget all that shit. If you ask somebody out on a date and you go on a date with them, and because you ask them out, I assume you like them, you are nice to them, right? I mean, isn't that the point? Who's this? Venom Quest. Hey, buddy. He says, you weren't doing it intentionally, Jaffe. No one is saying you were fake. Okay, fair. Then I appreciate that. You were overly deferential and ingratiating to her excessively. She didn't hold you in the same high regard. She was a guest on my show. I invited her on my show to basically come and share your views, talk to the audience, help me build my channel, help me build value in my channel. What was I going to say? What up? Yo, bitch, go suck a bag of moldy severed dicks and come tell me. Unless I'm, what's that guy's name? Goddamn Ali G. I mean, but I also did really like her. I'm not that, if that's simping, okay. I don't mean I romantically liked her. I don't know her, but I'm saying that I really liked, again, I quote this, or I paraphrase this a lot from Hamilton, which was paraphrasing from The West Wing, but I really liked her mind at work. I found her really smart and really educated about what she was talking about and really fascinating. And if that is worrying or problematic or something, I mean, seriously, think about that there's a generation of people, mostly men, that are being taught that is shameful. When you find someone, male, woman, platonic, romantic, whatever, that you're like, oh shit, I'm vibing with this person. I totally get their shtick. I like it. And you're supposed to act like you don't. What's the matter with you? That's joyful. That's joyful. Trump, you nice to Trump? No, I don't like Trump. I think he's an asshole. Yeah, I guess to these guys, asking women on dates is simping. I suppose so. I wouldn't classify Jaffe as simping, but it was a circle jerk. Yeah, I mean, I certainly, her and I were cut from the same cloth. Hello, Tech. Okay, okay, then don't watch my shit. If you really think that my interview with Alyssa Mercante was such that I can no longer be trusted as a source of someone that when I talk to someone on my channel, I'm an honest broker, then just don't watch my shit. There's nothing I can do for you. I'm sorry. I liked her. I thought she was great. What do you want from me? Hey, Captain Loud Pack. I appreciate you being here, buddy. Good to see you. It's just supposed to be an insult, like saying you're low T, i.e. low testosterone. Even that, though, I don't care. I think, yeah, thank you. There's my brother, Philip. I don't care. What's funny about it is a lot of this younger generation of men have gotten their, membership kit from the Joe Rogans of the world or the Andrew Tates of the world. And the insults that might work on you, that might shame you, those don't work on me. Okay. I go to my doctor. I'm a healthy guy within reason. I need to lose weight, of course. I'm on Ozempic for that. We'll see what happens. But I'm not chasing. I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. and do an ice plunge. Okay. I don't want to eat bear meat that I hit with my car. I don't need to be that guy. I don't value it. I don't disrespect people who want that for their lives, but I'm good. So yes. Okay. I'm low T. Okay. Sweet. Well, I'm happy. What do you want from me? Okay. Okay. I missed the interview in question. This is so funny. The things people choose to obsess over. I know. RFNY says, Jesus Christ, get out of the bubble, Jaffe. Massive L. To you? Who are you? What have you done with your anonymous name? If I died tomorrow, I would have brought not just my own children and my family and my friends, but in the work I've done certainly the vast majority when I worked with teams at Sony, and I was fortunate enough to work with those talented people. And even on YouTube, I have brought so many more people, entertainment, joy, camaraderie, inclusion than this RFNY has. I'm supposed to care that you think it was a massive loss, that I had an interview with somebody that you disagreed with, that I enjoyed talking to. Forgive me, but I didn't get the criteria before I woke up this morning of the things I need to do. I mean, seriously, let me ask you a question, RFNY. Do you think a lot of these guys out there today that are getting their marching orders from a lot of today's kind of, this is how to be a man, this is how to be masculine. Do you think a lot of these guys are, embracing that because in their heart of hearts, when they sleep at night, they go, right, this feels right to me. This feels good to me. This is authentic. Or do you think they're like, yeah, it's a character I'm playing, but at least I feel included, right? That's what I would be curious about, because it seems to me that a lot of these definitions, you guys are trying to sort of force everybody who has a dick to be what you want them to be. And I'm like, I thought the goal was we want everybody to be happy and have a good time, but maybe not so much. Maybe not so much. Okay. Let me bring, I don't know, Pete Turtle. I don't know. I don't know, buddy. Doug says, don't like it, don't watch. I have a fuck ton of Jaffe's awesome content, but I skipped the interview and DEI debate because it's not for me. Yeah, absolutely. There was maybe a little circle jerking on the call. I don't care. I liked Alyssa Mercante for the 4 hours I spent with her. It was very intellectually stimulating, and I enjoyed talking to her. Call me whatever you need to define that. Richest, most powerful men in the world aren't alphas. They're nerds, says Duro. Well, they are alphas in the sense that they have more control than the vast majority of humans on the planet because of their money. Yeah. Daniel says Jaffe happiness is for a men. I don't know what that means, but for people and children, men should strive to be content. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't think they're content. And I get that. And if you would have actually watched the fucking interview with her, you would see that she was actually sympathetic towards that. She and I were both, I really enjoyed talking with her about the sympathy we both have for some of these in the incel movement. Because it was like, it was a really fascinating to me conversation. The idea that you're basically talking about people as women have gotten much more self-reliant, both for legal reasons that have been enacted and just because culture has shifted in a wonderful way. They do not have to marry anymore in order to have a shot at survival in this capitalist society. And in that, yes, you're seeing a bunch of men that before would have had a shot at least with someone. Now that are like, well, the only reason I really want to date is to get towards marriage. And I don't covet that anymore because society has said I don't have to. And so now they're like, well, what about us? I get that. I get why that would be really scary for you. And I get why you could even look at it and go, you don't want to say it out loud, but it could just be as society evolves philosophically, there may be a biological reason that we are seeing lower birth rates, which is because as women no longer need men for anything other than their choice and not for survival, there's going to be a number of men that aren't going to be able to procreate. And that's got to be terrifying. I get it. And we talked about that. And RP says she hates men. No, she doesn't. She doesn't even have a tattoo that says I hate men, which all you guys seem to think she did. So, I'll just tell you that it's not dystopia says someone think of the incels. I mean, yeah, I do think of the incels in that context. Think about that. Look, I don't know how fortunate I would have been. I met the mother of my kids in college. So people are like, oh, well, that's because you were successful. No, trust me. The first month I knew my ex-wife was me. I borrowed $700 from her to fix my tires because I didn't have any fucking money. Okay. So it wasn't that she hooked up with me because of that. But now, if I was 19, 20 again, I don't know. I don't know if I would be willing to do the stuff I need to do to become a desirable guy for a lot of these women. And so, yeah, I have some sympathy there. It's got to be scary, but there's a balance between you can be sympathetic, and not be an asshole. Okay. Captain Loudpack says, I've been married since 2008 and I love it. Greatest adventure of my life. I don't particularly believe in marriage. I enjoyed being married. I love being a parent. I love co-parenting my kids. I'm a huge fan of my ex-wife. She's my best friend on the planet. But I'm not a big, I don't think marriage makes sense certainly not for me. But for some people, great. That's excellent. Okay. Let me move on to here. P Turtle, I don't think I'm going to bring you on today because I know what you're going to say. And I just, text me if you've got something genuinely new to say, but the Lord knows people don't need this conversation again. I mean, what are you going to bring to it? You're going to tell me that I didn't let you speak and she's too woke, and I get it. And again, I'm not opposed to that, but today I'm kind of not really in the mood to talk about that. Because unless you got something new to bring to it, if the chat wants you in, they can tell me. But okay, you guys, P Turtle says it's genuine. All right, buddy. But know this, P Turtle, my patience, not that I'm in a bad mood, but does the audience really need to hear the same shit every fucking day? But let's bring you on, see what happens. But let me bring in Gary Turbo first, which is probably P Turtle. Gary Turbo. It's Jaffe. What's up, buddy?
Jaffe, I would have to say my wife is acting woke, and I'm just playing. That's me.
Oh, I got you. Yeah, P Turtle has no wife, I assure you. All right, what's up, buddy?
I wasn't gonna talk about relationship or having kids, but I had to talk about this. Was it the Real Game Awards, which is really stupid?
I think it's really stupid as well, and they just had it the other night, and I don't know. Did you watch it? I think you had to pay to watch it. Maybe you did. I don't know.
No, I saw it through Nerdit's Newsstands channel.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, it was worse than Geoff Keighley's Game Award.
Right. Well, Keighley's Awards at least is a really interesting show. And he gives lots of previews. I think here's what I'll tell you, Gary Turbo, and I say both your first and last name because Turbo is a cool last name, is because what I thought it really showed is without the trailers, and without sort of the, I don't know, without the trailers, you're left basically with just an award show, and you're left going, who cares? Like, what do I care what anybody decided was the best action game of the year? Who gives a shit?
You still get trailers to like games.
Yeah, but they weren't brand new, were they? My understanding is one of the developers said, we don't want to be associated with this. It's not like he reached out and made a deal with Capcom to premiere Resident Evil 9 or anything, right? Gary Turbo, where have you been all my life? Are you there? All right, you're cutting out, buddy. We'll try you a little bit later in the show if you're still there. All right, P Turtle, don't let me down. What's up, P Turtle?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can smell you and everything. What's up, bud?
You know what's funny? I was actually calling today to actually defend you, and this is how you treat me. I can't believe it.
I haven't treated you anything yet. I was just giving you the lay of the land. I didn't think
you were simping.
Cool. I don't even know.
Oh, I'm not going to bring you in because I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to hear the same shit. We've been
only
friends
because
for 7
you have.
years.
Wait a minute.
How many?
What do I owe you?
You owe me the benefit of the doubt. We've been friends. Go ahead.
Okay. So what I'm asking though is what do you want to talk about? Because you do have to admit that you do kind of do the same thing. But if you're saying, let's talk about this. So you're saying you thought I was not simping. Cool. I mean, how do you define simping and why do you think these people thought I was? Because I am curious about that.
I think they thought you were simping because she is a pretty terrible person, but she came on and I feel like she put on an act. It seems like she has some media training.
Okay.
I think maybe you weren't too familiar with her, and I think people
I was not
maybe
that
didn't
familiar
know,
with
or
her, no.
right, and maybe people didn't know that a lot of the stuff that they wanted you to talk about, you couldn't really touch on because it was part of the lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't even get into like the nitty gritty of those things. But, I've been watching long enough to know. I watched your interview with the Quartering. And I remember you got heat for that too, because people felt like you didn't push back on a lot of this stuff with him.
Yeah.
And I think when you interview people, you don't try to have like a contentious, argumentative, interview. You like to have a nice back and forth. You like to, show the people off to your to the people watching.
I want to understand them, and I think it's
Right.
interesting. I don't like the Quartering's behavior. I think he's done a lot of damage to a lot of people in regards to sort of making people dislike other people, and he's made a lot of money at that, from my opinion. But I'm not going to not have him on because I'm curious about that. Like, how do you justify that, right? And yeah,
And I actually thought you were
mad at everybody.
I actually thought you were the complete opposite of simping. I mean, at one point you told her you were going to fuck the shit out of her, or you wanted to fuck the shit out of her.
I told her
I
something
was like,
along
man,
those
that's
lines.
pace.
Yeah.
That was one of the best moments. But I do think most people, when we see her online, she's unhinged. If you ever watched her when she was sitting down with Jeff Grubb,
that, right, P Turtle?
Yeah, she's my spirit animal.
You would be forgiven. You would not be upset if somebody came to you and met you at a restaurant and said, "Holy shit, you're like a normal person." When I actually talk to you, from hearing you only on Jaffe's show, I thought you were going to be out of your fucking mind 24/7.
Well, this is who I always am, and the difference between her and I is that I don't put on an act. With her, she absolutely did put on an act, and as a viewer who knows a lot about her, she came off very disingenuous. She came off like she was acting.
What was the thing for the biggest thing that you felt that she was not being honest with the audience about, or with me about?
I don't think she touched on how radical she really is. I think she tried to placate a little bit to you in that, which is what I was trying to attack her on, but that, she doesn't hate men, and she doesn't, she believes there's room in gaming for everybody. But if that's what she really feels like, you don't get that from her Twitter, and you certainly don't get that from any interview she's done outside of maybe the Taylor Lorenz interview she did. So again, this is a woman who was sitting with Jeff Grubb and was saying she's slutty, that she wants to fight people, and that nobody would fight her because they're all pussies. That was nothing like the person that came on your show.
Okay, but she actually did address that, right? I mean, the woman. Let's just take a couple of those things briefly.
And she lied about it.
Well, wait a minute, though. I mean, okay. So first of all, I asked her about hating men. She's not, just because you're dating a guy doesn't mean you don't hate men, but she's dating a guy. She clearly is like, if you're talking about the tattoo was a quote from Animal Farm, and it said mankind, and nobody did the whole quote. It's about veganism and about treating animals well. And there's no tattoo on her body that says, I hate men. Right. And so if that's a lie, that's fine. But when you look at the actual tattoo and you look at the actual quote, I mean, you can say she hates men for other reasons, but
no, I don't think she hates all men. I mean, clearly the airbag guy is her friend, right? I'm assuming he's a guy.
Okay,
he doesn't look like one in real life.
Doesn't hate. She wasn't being disingenuous. Does she hate
which is why when I called in, she hates right-wing men. She hates conservative values. She hates what your side would call toxic masculinity or whatever. She wants everything diverse. So when we say she hates men,
give me one example of something you think she hates that you would put in that bucket of definition of toxic masculinity that you don't think is bad.
Well, I can't pin that down right now. The one thing I can say is that when I did question her about, right-wing men and things like that, and does she feel there's room in gaming today for those kind of people. Her response was, I don't think there's room for anybody in this gaming space that hates black people, trans people, blah, 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 blah. But to me, there's a whole bunch of black right-wing guys. There's black guys who don't like transsexual people or trans people or whatever, right? There's, I mean, look at the Hispanic vote that Trump got, right?
I don't care. The point, let's bring it back to her, though. Yes, there are people out there that she doesn't like because of what they think about the world. Great. So what's your point? That she's not allowed to hate them?
What I'm saying is she tries to put everything under this umbrella of racism, diversity, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm saying, it's bigger than that. You can be black and be racist. You can be Spanish and be racist. What she was subtly doing, I'm trying to say, when I questioned her, she was subtly trying to say white men are the problem. Because you can be white and not like trans people. You get what I'm saying?
I don't think you're. Of course, you can be white.
So I'm saying, as a white woman, would she not want a black, anti-trans guy to be a part of gaming? You know what I'm saying? To be a part of the gaming sphere, like, is that a problem? And now, if it is, then that's something I'd like to discuss with her, or a Spanish guy, or an Asian guy.
Well, I don't. I mean, when you say be part of gaming, I don't even really know what that means. Are you saying that she wants to put people who don't like trans folks in concentration camps and kill them so they can't play video games? What are you suggesting?
I mean, like, make material. No, I mean, like, make content for, like, again, right-wing, a right-wing demographic, a male demographic, to make games, again, a game like you made. I know you said you didn't make it for men, but that resonated with men.
Great. I made it for me.
It didn't resonate, or God of War didn't resonate with women.
Some women, but
I'm just saying the demographic.
Listen, I
get you did, but
no. My point is, I don't think the woman was disingenuous. I don't think the things that a lot of people attribute to her, I think they're nuanced. I don't think the internet does nuance. They're not interested in nuance. And frankly, it's like the how did you get your job in games? And she wrote, I sucked a dick, right? How many times have you told? Wait a minute though. And she says hyperbole is a lost art was her response to that, right? How many times when you were tweeting some shit that I thought was going to not let me bring you back on my show because I thought it was hate speech, did you say to me, those tweets aren't really reflective, it's in context and this and that and the other, right? So are you telling me that particular way to deal with you and some of the stuff you've said, I should have the grace to deal with your tweets in a way but not hers?
But on the flip side,
do you really think a woman or a man, but let's just take a woman in this society that sucked a dick to get ahead in the world is going to admit that unless they are basically
I'm glad you said that. Can I respond to that?
Yes, and then I'm going to get Calvin Wick on. She's a former sex worker. She's a former cam girl, but yes.
She's a former sex worker. The biggest clip of her online that really made her a name is her calling herself slutty.
Cool. She says
somebody on Twitter asks her, how did she get to where she was? And her response was, I suck dick. That's literally what she said, right?
Okay. Yes, that's literally what she said.
Okay. So when you put all that together, it's not hard to believe that somebody would do that to get to where they're at. And the last thing I will say is that
let's stop for a second. The argument or the discussion was about, is she someone that was being disingenuous? But let's assume that we're not going to agree on that. But this idea now that you are attributing negative connotations to things, that I think that's a you problem, right? Let's assume for the moment that she is super slutty. And let's assume for the moment that she did, in fact, the very limited time she was a cam girl, you would call that, offensive sex work or whatever. And let's assume for the moment that the tweet was not a joke, that she did suck dick to get her job in journalism, right? Can you imagine that you do that for that job? But regardless though, okay, let's assume all those things are true. What's bad about any of those things?
Sucking a penis to get to the top?
How you know how many
what's bad about that?
What's bad? You know how many things that men and women do that don't fit into what I would consider.
It's called having no integrity.
Okay, really? So you think? Give me somebody in business that you think has integrity, that hasn't done something that if you knew about it, you'd go, what? I mean, give me an example. You think men, just because they're not being sex shamed, are not doing things that you would basically say that's not there's no integrity there?
You're trying to make it about some male and female dynamic thing.
I'm asking you
just
this very
calling her out for
specific
what she said.
And I'm asking you, why does it matter if a woman sucks penis to get a job?
If guys in business do anything that lacks integrity, that's not good as well. I mean, you give me an example, and I can tell you whether I think that is good or bad.
There's no difference. Okay, I'll give you one right now. There's no difference from sucking a dick to get ahead and work to then accepting an invitation to go play golf when you hate golf and you don't like the people you're playing golf with, but you're doing it because it'll help you close a deal. There's nothing less or more noble about playing golf with people you don't like and lying than there is about basically going, you know what, I'll suck your dick, but I'm going to suddenly be making, $80K more next year. What's the difference?
I'll just say that if you think there's no difference, then you're a sick individual.
Then I'm a sick individual.
Let me ask you this. Can I respond to that?
Because I don't feel comfortable telling anyone. I don't feel comfortable telling anyone, let alone women who I can't relate to, what they, in this society where a lot of things are stacked against them, what they can and cannot do. It's like suddenly there's a checklist of what a white male, has made acceptable.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
Jeffy, can I respond to that? If they're equal, right? You have 2 kids. Let's say you have a daughter. One of them, is I don't even know how to say it. Identifies as a daughter or whatever, a woman, right? So I do have a daughter. Your female, your daughter. Mm-hmm. Let's say she calls you one day and she said, and you ask her how was her day, and she said, I had to go, play golf with my boss. I hated it, but whatever, I got through it. Well, would that ruin your day? Versus if you asked her how her day was and she called and said, I blew my boss. I got that promotion. It sucked. And I really didn't want to do it, but at least I make more money now. Which one would make you feel worse as a father?
Well, first off, let's take it out of the father position, right? Because it's too loaded.
Why?
Because it's too loaded. Because
it is loaded, all right.
Let's take it as a friend first, though. Let's take a very good female friend, and I would call here's what I would say if I didn't have the because I don't like the idea of. All right, well, here's the point. I don't know who I should make it about, but here's the bigger point. If a woman,
you just got schooled, by the way, but go ahead.
Right, because I wanted to stop to give you a more thoughtful answer. In this generation, in the internet culture, thinking before speaking is a reflection of being schooled. I understand, but here's why it's an important issue, and I'm trying to articulate it well. But what I would say is that if a woman chooses to do that, and she feels that she wants to do that, and she doesn't feel like she's in a society, which she is, that she doesn't have a lot of other options, I don't have a problem with it. But the reality of that is, though, Turtle, is that more often than not, the girl's probably not even going to get invited to play the game of golf. Okay. So, but if all things were if all things were equal and it was an even playing field, then I would say, yeah, as long as she's comfortable with it, go do whatever the fuck you want to do.
Jesus Christ. I disagree with that.
I don't disagree. Care if you disagree. You are living by a rule that the society has given you that doesn't serve you. Pete Turtle, I'll talk to you later.
All right, later, man. All
right, buddy. All right. Okay, let me get this chat that I'm going to bring on. Calvin been waiting, or Cal Wick. Yeah, Calvin Wick. Call a Gidor. Thanks, buddy. He says, Mr. Jaffe, I would like to ask you regarding Sweet Tooth. Is it true that Twisted Metal Black is all in his head? Yes, it is. Although, to be honest with you, I literally came up with that. I mean, this is why I wasn't aw-shucksing it when people think, oh, Jaffe's so self-deprecating, he's so humble. No, that was never the plan. And we needed a secret character to drive Minion, the unlockable Minion. And if I'm remembering the story correctly, and we got some art of this horn-headed guy wearing a bull mask or something. And it was black. I think it was, I don't know who, it was one of those characters, one of the side characters. And I'm like, oh, I'll just make up this fun code. Because I was sick. I had the flu. I had to write something for the guys in Utah. They're like, look, we need something for the endings. And I just that'd be fun. There was no deep thought put into a lot of it. It was just like, oh, I think people will like that. Right. So I'm just saying to you that It wasn't that deep, but yes, it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. All right, let me bring in Calvin. Calvin, buddy, I appreciate you waiting. How you doing? But well, you're not. We can't hear you. Let's see what's going on with you. You're not muted on my side, buddy. And maybe your microphone is not taking the proper input for this program. So, are you on Windows? Windows or Mac? If you go to your sound settings and see what mic is the input mic that is being okay. All right. Any luck? Okay, hang on. Sit tight. I'm going to bring on Embers Arcade, and then I'll bring you back on, see if you can fix it. But right now, I don't have you. You got it? Why was Twisted Black so difficult, says WitchX? Just because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and we tuned it for ourselves. And we didn't have the experience to know. So I thought I was tuning normal with Mike Badger and Scott Campbell as normal. And it was normal for us, but we had been playing it for 2.5 years with, muscle memory. So that would be why. That was not the intention at all. All right, Cal, don't go anywhere. I'm not going to kick you off. I'll just bring you back. I'm going to talk to somebody else, see if you can fix it. But right now, just so you know, on my screen, I see your name. I see your microphone. It does not say that you are muted on my end. So it's, and your audio is turned up pretty good on my end. So see what you can do, but I'll see you in a second. Meantime, Embers Arcade, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Jeffy, how you doing, man? Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you great. What's going on?
Well, I had a thought that I wanted to share with you. I think that, well, first of all, this is a gaming channel, right?
It's mostly, yeah, but what's your point?
What do you think the instinct is in this genre of content creation? Because it's, I think it's a pretty widespread thing that people seem to but gaming seems to be like a platform upon which other more complicated and more sensitive conversations tend to be had. And I tend to find that the people that engage in these conversations are not responsible enough to be approaching them. I'm not responsible enough to be approaching them, which is why I try not to do
I
them.
think you've asked a couple of different questions, right? But let me get to the last one first, because I think about that a lot. And that's one of the reasons, like, I think there's a lot of people in the culture war part of video game debate online that don't really have the bona fides to speak about what they're speaking. But, not to be, obnoxiously tropey, but the cliche of nature abhors a vacuum. People are still going to talk, and but I agree. I mean, it's weird that you have a lot of white men sitting around talking about the value of representation in video games when they've been represented and continue to be represented at a disproportionate majority for since the beginning of the medium for the most part. So I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong, and that's not to say there are not diverse content creators in the game space that talk about this stuff, but you can watch those guys too. So I do agree with that. It's a very good point.
Oh, but you mentioned white men. I'm not sure if maybe I'm misunderstanding. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I'm trying to suggest that an immutable characteristic qualifies you to approach these conversations. For example, being an ethnic minority in the United States, giving you license to responsibly approach conversations about, for example, ethnic representation in video games, which is a difficult topic.
You certainly have more of a pot to piss in when it comes to the value of representation, because it's not just a philosophical question at that point. If you're a black guy, for example, coming up playing video games, what did it mean to you, if anything, that suddenly there were more black characters appearing in the games you were playing? I can tell you what I think and what I've heard, but I'd rather actually just see what, more black people think. Well,
I mean, I think that you can set those parameters there, but I wonder if sort of the game that you play there of representation being immutable characteristics and not something deeper doesn't end up inspiring people to have conversations that are ultimately fruitless. And then what I'm saying is that, I'll give you an example. I think that I have more in common with the black men that I go and see at church on Sundays than I do with you, even though you're white ostensibly and I'm white ostensibly. And I think that he and I would feel more represented by, for example, a Catholic character in games than he and I would feel represented by someone that maybe has like a skin tone that matches who we are. And I think that we can go deeper into that. in experiences and value systems, and not necessarily immutable characteristics.
Okay, so I think that's right. If you prize, or if your identity is more about being a Catholic than being a white guy, or if that's the part of your life that you feel is less represented in the media you consume, unless you're, watching Kirk Cameron movies, then I would absolutely agree with you that sure, when that shows up in a video game, if ever, you're probably going to go, hey, I think that's pretty cool. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think that's great.
Well, I think that the question then becomes, does society have a responsibility then to sate the demand for that representation?
No.
Well, then where does that come from? This like demand for it?
But because it's not a responsibility, it's capitalism, right? And so here's where it comes from. It comes from the same place that Fox News came from when Fox News looked around and said, who's not really being represented in this news are the people who are kind of conservative, slightly right, all the way up to conservative, far right. And then, of course, One America News or whatever they're called came in and said, we can go even further right. But, I think if there are, trust me, these businesses, and I know, they don't care. If there's money to be made by basically making the Fox News publishing of video games, and they want to basically put out Stellar Blades and hunting games and Red State games. And by the way, you may or may not be old or young enough to remember, there was a time back in the 90s where the biggest game almost every year was that hunting game that was sold at Walmart for like $19. I forget, it was Calib or whatever. And
I'm 31, so that might be before my time.
Okay. So there is a market out there. And by the way, I don't think it's a bad idea to chase it. I think if somebody came and said, hey, I want to invest in Red State Games, and we're going to do, military shooters, and we're going to do hunting games, and we're going to do a rodeo fucking game, I think there's value in that. Absolutely. I think there's money in that. You should do that. Why not?
Can I say one other thing before I back out here so that I
Hell,
can
there's a game for you coming out where it's called I Am Christ. It's supposed to have been out 2 years ago, but I think I'm not even fucking with you. I think it's still in development.
I don't know that that's for me.
Well, yeah.
But I appreciate the shout. But
Sure,
I was going to say one other thing, especially in light of P-Turtle, it's sort of a frustration that I have because I've said ad nauseum that I'm Catholic, and that comes with a certain set of values that tend to not be congruent with sort of the established progressive culture that you would find in gaming circles, which has been an issue.
How come? How's it been an issue? Don't forget your question, but how's it been an issue?
Okay, so it's been an issue only that relationships that I've had, I guess, that I've formed among people that have met because of games have been frayed or oftentimes called into question by the other people because of the fact that I perhaps do not share a worldview as the people that I've interacted with. There's a lot of this happens, for example, in Final Fantasy XIV, which is an ecosystem that I spend a lot of time in. I think that is an ecosystem that is largely ideologically captured. And I'm perfectly happy with having friends. Everyone I know is a liberal atheist, and everyone I love is a liberal atheist. My parents aren't even Catholic. So it's, I'm perfectly happy with having people that heterodox friendships, but it seems to not go the other way around. But the question that I'm trying to get to is that although I think that I might come to similar conclusions as somebody like P-Turtle, I listen to the way that he discusses these issues, and he's very abrasive, obviously insulting. It doesn't seem to be serving the cause that he wants to champion.
I think his champion is he just wants to have fun and build a personality. I don't think he really cares. I think I honestly don't. I don't pay P-Turtle. I don't hire P-Turtle. But it wouldn't be a bad idea because he is a character and some people like him. And if you can somehow figure out the sweet spot of too much P-Turtle, too little P-Turtle, you can make some decent money off a character like that as part of a cavalcade of characters that call in. But I don't think he really is going to bed at night going, how do I affect social change? I think that's more your wheelhouse.
Well, no, I'm not an advocate. I like to talk, but that's it. But I do think that he's representative of a genre online, isn't he? I mean, he seems to be pretty sympathetic.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of people like him online. Yes.
Yeah. Well, all this to say that I didn't appreciate. Well, look, the Alyssa Mercante conversation that you had was really enlightening. I've seen a lot of inflammatory stuff from her that I didn't care for. Ways that she's talked about gamers and ways that she's talked about white as an identity and these kinds of things. And I think I don't think that that's a responsible way to approach those topics. But listening to her speak as a human being was really kind of refreshing because you realize people are not what they post on Twitter. People are a lot deeper than that. And I really feel like we've lost touch with that fundamental truth about this. Is like, look, you can have relationships with people and have fundamental disagreements, and I think that those things shouldn't get in the way of forming what could be a connection.
I don't disagree with you, but I think what's very important to also include in that is a lot of times people will say things like that as if and I'm not saying this is what you're saying, but it sounds like what you're saying is, see if we could just start recognizing each other as human, blah, 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 blah. And everything you're saying is right. But what it doesn't take into account is the fact that we are in a system right now where if you get sick or fired, you're pretty fucked. And money and keeping a job or having money or whatever, or at the very least making money off people who are angry because they can't keep a job or can't get a job or can't whatever reason, until that goes away, this is a symptom of that. It's not about, oh yeah, let's just recognize we're all people. It's about the fact that anger is easy to farm because we've allowed the powers that be in this world, specifically in this country, to continue to uphold and embolden a system that makes all of us beholden to their bottom line. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And it's how, when that guy shot that CEO, why you had the response that you had by so many people that you wouldn't expect to have that response, because people are fucking fed up and we're angry and we're scared and we're mad. And, it's orchestrated. It's intended. Because the minute we stop being mad at each other, guess who we get to really be mad at? The people who are actually responsible. And it ain't me if you're on the far right. I didn't do anything to you. You didn't do anything to me.
No. But I think it's interesting that you see the origination of the symptoms as being something like really large and amorphous and beyond and systemic. And I tend to see them as like personal. They begin at the relationship level and the individual interaction.
Yeah, but the relationship, people don't exist in a vacuum, and they exist in a culture where, as much as you want to open up your heart to your fellow man, if your kid can't get their fucking diabetes medicine, or you can't afford to go get your tooth fixed, and you're in constant pain for a month because you don't have dental insurance, it's hard to ask somebody to bring them their best selves to the conversation.
Right, but culture doesn't exist without individuals making choices and interacting with one another. Culture is just it's like an ocean.
Sure, but the individuals exist in a culture where we don't take care of each other, and we if you fall between the cracks, sorry, hope you don't crack your head on the way down. But I got my own bag of hammers to deal with.
Well, anyway, I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it was just nice to talk to you. I appreciate.
All right, buddy. Good to see you, man. Talk to you later.
Take care.
All right. Let me try Gary. Let me try Calvin again. See if it works. Calvin, any luck? Nope, not working at all. Not working. I know it sucks, man. All I can tell you is the microphone you're speaking into, is it on? Okay, and don't say it's on like I'm being an asshole. You never know. You can have your gamer headset plugged in. I don't fucking know. But if that's the only microphone plugged in, are your system settings saying that is the microphone that it's taking sound from? I can do nods and shit. I can't do, you're like speaking in sentences. I don't know what the fuck you're saying. So, okay. I'll keep you on, hit me up, if you can fix it, but, okay. It's strange that a person for the individual argues for the individual is also religious, says Arathizel. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I can't speak to religious people, man. I don't understand them. I understand, I understand why somebody would look to religion as a something that they want in their lives, but I can never cross the bridge of it comes with a necessity of believing in things that just to me seem crazy. But whatever gets you through the night, right? Yeah, Venom Quest. That's right. I'm keeping the black man down. I don't want Calvin to speak. All I have to do is press a button. I'm not going to let him do it. Wouldn't that be shitty if that actually was happening and I didn't know it? But I mean, you've seen I brought on all these other people. All I'm doing is clicking a button that says show on stream. It's got to be on his end. Here's Swapfire. Let's bring on Swapfire. Swapfire. Hey, buddy, it's Jaffe.
Hey, how's it going, Jaffe?
It
Can you
is
hear me?
good. What is up with you, man?
Sweet. Well, there's lots of interesting topics to talk about. I was going to take the bait there on the religion aspect. I know you've wanted to talk about that for a little while.
I'll talk about whatever you guys. It's a free chat, Monday. Today's a kind of a fucked up show, so whatever you want to talk about.
With my video,
I don't see you, but I hear you fine.
huh? Camera's just not working.
All right,
That's
no
all
worries.
right. One thing, did you cover DeepSeek?
I mean, there's not much to cover on my end. I know that China has revealed a AI program that is apparently a lot less expensive to run, which is, if not equivalent, substantially stronger than some of the best commercial AI that we've seen. And I think they're giving it away for free or whatever. And it's caused a bunch of stocks, like the NVIDIA guy I saw today. The CEO lost $18 billion in personal wealth in regards to his own stocks and stuff. But I don't really know much beyond the headlines, though.
Yeah. So it was a quant company, and they said that it was a side project.
What is a quant? I don't know what a quant.
I think it was like high frequency trading type stuff.
Okay.
And so they developed this AI as a side project, trained it for like $5.5 million. And then, it's matching the performance of ChatGPT 01, basically, which had billions of dollars invested. It's difficult to tell though, is this legit? Is it some type of psyop? Because last week Stargate was announced, and so the U.S. is trying to say, "Oh, we're going to be, the AI champions."
Yeah, here's my answer or my question to you: why should the average person on the street right now, based on this, give a shit? Like, and I don't mean that like I have a dog in the fight. I'm asking, what do I care? My guess would be that America, it's like anything else. They might have us over a barrel and then we'll get them over a barrel. And it's just any technology, right? Or is there something special about this particular piece of AI software that really does, like, they haven't created super intelligence with this thing or something, right?
No, I think this is the key. So I've been using AI to make my latest game. I'm trying to use it. It's not good enough to fill in the gaps, right? So it's real great at, you say, make me Tetris. Well, there's, a bajillion examples of Tetris out there, so it can crank that out. But if you try to have it make something truly creative, it can comprehend the logic, but the amount of time you have to spend explaining every little detail.
Right. I've done the same.
Quicker. Yeah. It'd actually be quicker for me to just code the game.
Right.
And I'm running into that issue now. So I think what they're trying to do is I think they actually want to buy the mind share, US or China or whoever, to get more people using their AI, because people are in essence necessary now to train the AI through all those little edge cases on true creativity versus just going out on the internet and grabbing whatever free content you can get and learning those patterns. You need much more specific patterns.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you control the most popular AI service, which I imagine is going to be the AI service that is cheapest but good enough to satisfy the customer, then you really do have a very easy shot at controlling the way people think.
Oh yeah. Well, that too, there's definitely,
but I don't think that's lost on America. I think the real question is, if China has found a way to do it cheaper, I guess that's scary, but that's also good news. It's like, oh shit, we can do it for cheaper. All right. Good tip.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting too, because to me, it looks like a fast follower approach where OpenAI came up with QStar. And I think probably like a year ago, that's when the conversations about QStar came out, and they wanted to use the A-star pathfinding algorithm, which is in games, right? That's how you navigate a 2D grid in games, right? So the algorithm can basically figure out the shortest path around obstacles and all that stuff. And then it can sort of backtrack and say, no, it's actually this. So they wanted to apply that same logic to AI. And that was an OpenAI innovation. I thought they ran their mouths about it probably a little too much. They probably shouldn't have spoken so much about it, because it would only take somebody that's really in the know so much effort to say, oh, that's a great concept. Let's go ahead and use that line of reasoning for AI, right? Like you can reason your way down this path and then be like, oh, nope, there's a roadblock there. Come back. Now reason my way down this path, and so on and so forth. So it looked like they're kind of a fast follower on that front. So whereas OpenAI had to have billions in investment to get to the point where they were even thinking about QStar and all that type of stuff.
Yeah, but that's anything, right? I mean, to apply it to video games, right? I mean, Minecraft before Minecraft was called something else. It wasn't until Notch got it and said, I'm going to basically make that game, but I'm going to tweak it just enough. They've already done all the thought work. They've already figured out what it is. They've already found the fun. I'm going to basically take that and give it a spin, and I'm going to be the guy that, wins the lottery with it. I mean, it's not like American companies don't do that either.
There were a couple of games before Minecraft, I guess, that kind of
there was one that it was actually based on, my understanding, that he looked at it and said, "Oh, we'll make a version of that." I believe. Now I could be getting it wrong, but that's what I remember when I was looking into this ages ago.
You're right. You're right about that. So it's not even like Minecraft was the original innovator. There was another innovator before Minecraft.
That's most things. The guy who innovates usually, or the people who innovate usually, are not the ones to sort of win.
Get shot in the back. They ran out first.
Look at Mac. Look at Mac going to Park Xerox and going, "Hey, I like this user interface you guys are doing. We'll do that, and we'll actually turn it into a commercial product, and we'll make it affordable."
I guess there's a talent in recognizing when somebody's innovated correctly, but just they haven't increased the magnitude of enough. That's kind of what it seems like with Steve Jobs and Park.
Absolutely,
he's like, that's what it needs to be, but it needs to be way more polished than what you guys did.
Yep.
And kind of took it ahead. Yeah, they could be looking at something like that. I don't know.
But I don't trust our government. I certainly don't trust the Chinese government. I think America is a better system of government than China, but they're all fucking horrible.
So they're all fucking horrible. That's a difficult discussion. Yeah. Do you think that the last 30 years in this country is actually a repercussion of Tiananmen Square in the late 80s? Like China saw that democracy was at its doorstep and then saw that, US had this influence and they just basically mirrored it back upon us.
I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. I know what you're asking, but are you saying that the last 30 years in China or the last 30 years in America, is a reflect? Okay. So in America, our culture has been consciously affected by the American government or the American citizenry response to what happened in Tiananmen Square?
My read on it is that Tiananmen Square was a threat to, say, China.
Of course.
Culturally, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so I think that there was then, from that moment forward, a concerted effort to influence America in the exact opposite way, right? We're going to push our agenda on you, which, so when I hear you saying, like, I hate our government, hate all governments, and I'm like, I'm not sure I hate America, but I do understand that I've been led to believe that I should hate America. And so I'm a little bit apprehensive of that.
You're saying you think I've been led to believe to hate America by some sort of conscious thing?
I think all of us have. Yeah. I think
America's, I think it's more that if you look at the way the internet has created access to information and access to different people's perspectives, when I was a kid, we came up and we had our local newspaper and we had eventually CNN, but then we also had 3 news networks, and that was the news. And now, so you were told, whether it was good reporting or propaganda, I can't say, depends on the story, I would imagine. You were told this is the state of the world and you believed it. And now what we've seen is, it's not that I hate America, like I think America is fundamentally evil, but I think people are fundamentally corrupt when they have access to power. And whether you are running China or you are the president of the United States or you are the president of the PTA, people have shown a tendency to become corrupt and greedy when they arrive at those places of power. And so it's not that I've been taught to hate America by some sneaky propaganda machine. It's that I'm like, I love a lot about America. I love the ideals of America, but a lot of those ideals are propaganda and have been romanticized. And the truth has been, shoved out of a lot of classrooms because it doesn't fit with the narrative. Like my kids, when they learned about 9/11 in school, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to me that, what they were taught were America was attacked by these pretty much comic book bad guys that hated our freedom. And it's like, you can kind of go, 9/11 was terrible, and it was. And those people who attacked us were awful murderers who needed to be stopped and destroyed. And a lot of them were. And all those things are great. But it can also be true that unless you're a individual or a group of psychopaths, you don't attack another person or another country without at least thinking you had a reason. And in the case of 9/11, do I think the reason was justified? No. But do I think it's an important thing to actually understand it at a part of a conversation versus just going, they bad, we heroes? That's the issue I'm talking about. None of this stuff happens in a vacuum 99% of the time. But if you don't teach people that and you don't talk about that and you shame them for questioning that, then you end up creating a country of idiots that the government can walk all over.
That is very interesting. I remember post 9/11 having similar feelings like, we should have seen this coming. We're being too, we're wielding our power around the world too much, this type of thought process and everything like that. And, Obama came around and I thought he did a great job of going around and being an apologist, kind of like an American apologist. But the interesting thing is, I don't know if we can ever resolve this, is somebody, and we can tie this into video games, right? Like Hiroshi Yamauchi, who was who ran Nintendo for so long, he believed in one strong, the rest weak. And that's kind of how he operated old school Nintendo, right? Like pre-Iwata. Is it possible that is incorrect? And if it is correct, what do we do about it?
Well, I'm not sure I follow you as it relates to video games or Nintendo. What do you mean?
Oh, I was just saying, yeah, it was just did you ever read that book Game Over by Dave Sheff?
I listened to the audiobook, but I don't remember that part.
Okay, yeah. So Hiroshi Yamauchi or Yamauchi, that was his like philosophy and the way he ran Nintendo. So he wanted all the licensees to be beneath Nintendo, all the other companies to be beneath.
Okay,
Nintendo.
I got you.
Yeah, ruled with an iron fist, right? And
Okay.
they set the tone for what it was going to be. And so I mean, it's kind of interesting, and that's Nintendo grew strong.
I mean,
maybe it
look,
was just
you can do that until somebody comes along and builds a better mousetrap, and then you have to compete. And so, go ahead and do that if you want to. I mean, hopefully you're not an asshole about it, but fundamentally, if then Sony steps up and says, all right, well, we'll compete on our own terms, and suddenly they're, at least depending on the generation, the market leader, then maybe you've made a lot of enemies and burnt a lot of bridges. But that's, I guess, part of the job, right? So,
yeah.
All right, buddy. Always good to talk, and I have not forgotten the Twisted Metal tweakers at all. I've just been really
looking forward to it. I
am
wait to see
too.
the list.
I am too. All right, thanks, bud.
All right.
Okay, let's bring in real quick. Oh, I thought I had Tech Protect on. Okay, I'm going to try again with Calvin real fast, but Calvin.
You can hear me now?
Yeah, what'd you do? What was it?
I had to go switch it back. So when I switched it, it was on there. I did the voice check and everything. And I was sitting there. I was doing it while you do. I wasn't snapping at you or nothing. I was more annoyed at this.
Fine. All right, but you might want to wear headphones, though, because there's an echo now.
Yeah, I know where it's coming from, though. So
it's coming from you. No, I mean, I can hear it.
Oh, yeah.
Like the audience can hear it.
Yeah. Is the echo there now?
Test. Nope, perfect.
Okay, there you go. Yeah,
right,
I had to fiddle with it the whole time. I was trying to catch you before Monday Night Raw came on. I was like, dang.
Fuck Monday Night Raw. It's the Royal Rumble is coming up. What is it, Sunday or Saturday?
Yeah, it was. I think it's next Saturday.
Oh,
we got
yes.
Charlotte Flair's coming back.
Yeah, she's okay. She's no Becky Lynch. She's no what's the other one? Ronda Rousey, which I know a lot of fans hate, but I liked her.
Raina Ripley. It's Raina Ripley runs it right now.
Yeah, and I hear that not Liv Morgan, the one Alexa Bliss is still not really back. She was supposed to be back already. Now they told the creative guys not to write her into a story. I hope it's all bullshit and she shows up on Royal Rumble. I think she's the best. I love her.
It's like the women's division is what got me back in. It is crazy.
Me too.
Did you watch the AEW?
Don't watch AEW. People tell me I should, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
Dude, Tony Storm.
Yeah.
That was fire. That was so fire. I loved it.
What is happening real quick on Raw tonight? What is the big story right now?
I do not know, to be honest, because I kind of I got back into it, and then what happened was I was watching on Hulu. They switched it all to USA.
Yes,
and I got cut off track because I started after Cody finished his story.
Yeah,
and I said, when I watched that, I said I'm gonna keep it.
And now Cody's obviously back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What got me back into wrestling was Nikita. If you know who Nikita Lyon is,
I don't know.
She's NXT, the NXT, and then you got Julia and Stephanie Valcour, which are two of my favorites.
I kind of dropped out, and I'm slowly getting back into it now that it's back on Netflix. I'm excited for Rumble. After, like, I was really into it when it was like Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Io Sky, all that, and now it's a lot of them have moved on. But
no, Io Sky's still there. Asuka was supposed to come back. You still got Kairi Sane.
I love her. She's my girlfriend. She goes out with me every Friday.
Yeah. So there, a lot of them are still there, and some of them are slowly returning. Like the Wyatt Six is back.
I don't know what that is.
The Wyatt Six. It's the dark kind of gothic like.
Oh, okay. Nia Jax is back, right? She's back on it, although she doesn't call herself Nia Jax, right?
Yeah, it's still Nia Jax.
Okay, because she left and came back, but it was good to see her.
She
back.
had the women's world title, and then Tiffany Stratton, cashed in the Money in the Bank and took the title.
You know what they should do to piss off their fans just for fun? Can you imagine? Why would they do that? They should have a trans man like kick the shit out of, who is it? Roman Reigns, Cody. What's the guy's name? Who's the champion right now?
Yeah, Cody Rhodes.
Cody Rhodes. It would just piss off the red state so much. But anyway, I dig it. So what do you want to talk about besides that?
I came in, I saw you on there. I said, you're doing a live call? Let me just stop in and say hi and stuff. Because I play God of War and stuff. I used to play a little bit of Twisted Metal and stuff. Yeah. So I just stopped in to say hi. I know what's the crazy stuff's going on, but I don't take YouTube too seriously.
No, you got all of it. Anybody that's the internet, if you use the internet as a tool and for entertainment, it's great. But I think there really is a lot of truth. Like the YouTube, I think, is better, but when you start recognizing that Twitter is basically today's 4chan, and you're like, okay, you can't.
Yeah, all I do is like I'll post, like I play fighting games, so I go to Evo and stuff, and I read comic books, so I do comic book reviews. So I do mostly on TikTok with my comic book reviews. Okay. I'm playing Marvel Rivals and stuff. I don't get into the drama. It's not that serious.
A
lot of people on both sides don't understand, in my opinion, that a reason why certain things are happening, but it's because it started over a long period of time and it built up. And it's not going to be just this one fix. It's going to take time. A lot of traits and a lot of habits on both sides were mixed in.
It's also easy, I was going to say. The reason I'm doing kind of a call-in show today that's just sort of free chat is I'm burnt out from the weekend because I streamed way more than I told myself I should. And so I really didn't wake up with a Monday morning set of it's a brand new week. That's going to be my Tuesday. So today I've been a little less, and so I looked at all my news stories I had lined up. And usually what I do is, I'll take each one, I'll read it. I have a notebook. I'm like, what are my thoughts? What do I'm wondering about? What do I want to talk to the chat about? And I just got up this morning. I'm like, I don't have the energy for that today. Yeah. So let me just turn on the mic and see what happens. And it's so much easier to just bitch about things that, everyone's bitching about. And so as long as people realize that the heavy lifting is not on a show like this, whether it's mine or anyone else's, it's every now and then it's okay. But I agree, you can get too much in the weeds sometimes with this bullshit, and I'm guilty of it. But it does make money. It makes you money. It grows the channel. It sucks, but it's true.
It does. But it does. People are cashing in. So
yeah.
But
all right, buddy. Good to talk to you. Glad you got it fixed. Enjoy the wrestling. I love comics too. There's a what is the new? I don't know what you read, but there's the new Marvel storyline that I just heard about the other day.
Doom?
I thought
it's Doom.
No, not Doom. It's coming. It's like they're doing solicitations for like in 6 months out or 5 months out. I'm like, oh, that's a neat idea for a story, but I don't remember what it was.
Reading like Phoenix, Scarlet Witch. I'm reading Justice League Unlimited.
Yep. You mean old school ones, Justice League Unlimited, like back in the day, or you mean modern?
No, they brought it back. Because Darkseid left the original DC universe and created his own universe called the Absolute Universe.
Oh, I know what that is, but I know that was tied to Darkseid. Okay.
Yeah, Darkseid, and now that Darkseid is not the other half of the DC universe, things are unraveling because they need Darkseid as the light in the dark in the universe.
Right.
Now the Darkseid's not in that original universe. He's left his role. He doesn't want to be the Darkseid role. He wants to be God, the God role. So now you have characters like he's creating a universe where he controls the fate of Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman, the Flash. And in the other universe, it's just the Superman and there are there. And there's some guy that's a new member of the Justice League that might be trying to kill them. It might be sent to kill them. And then there's something, and it's not bad, dude.
I'll check into the collected edition. It sounds pretty cool. I also just like they started shooting Supergirl the other day. I'm a big Supergirl fan, so I'm looking forward to that movie.
Supergirl. I mostly, if you look over there, I'm kind of a waifu player. I like mostly female characters. You see, I got 2 Wonder Womans. I got Black Widow. I collect Hot Toys.
Yeah, I have. There's a Spider Woman back there. I have a Zatanna, a Wonder Woman from that Japanese company, Koya, whatever they're called. Yeah, they do all the sexy lady.
I got the Kotobukiya. That's my Starfire right there.
There you go.
I got Ivy, Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah,
so
they do great stuff, man.
Characters. I even created my own that I'm going to try to make into a book one day.
Good luck with that. That's great. That's great.
But I won't take up most of y'all time.
No, I appreciate you talking. Good sticking around. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, buddy.
All right.
All right. Let's bring on Mitchell. Mitchell, it's Jaffe. What's up, bud?
There it goes.
There you go. Now. Yeah. What's going
on? I just wanted to chat with you a little bit about just kind of like you get in the weeds a lot with just whatever's going on with the world, right? Like every other stream, someone's got to usually chime in and just kind of try to berate whatever your viewpoints are, or what have you. And it kind of tangentially goes back to your last conversations with Calvin. And I just I'm curious what you do to kind of like stay mentally just kind of like sane during all this, to work on your mental health during so much adversity. Like you kind of like, I love watching you, Jaffe, because there's not enough men on the left that actually are willing to just kind of stick up and fight.
I appreciate that. What I'll tell you honestly is, I mean, I could certainly use a regular therapist right now. I just haven't had one in a while. I've been busy, and I can tell in my own headspace, it's like, you probably could, use every couple of weeks check in. But to me, it was getting to me, my mental health, a little bit. But then I saw 2 things, and I've talked about this before. One of them was I saw a clip online from What We Do in the Shadows, which was this energy vampire who literally was just trolling people. And it just, a switch flipped in my brain for that. And I said, oh my God, the number of people that are pushing my buttons, that I'm letting push my buttons, the vast majority, or even if it's only 30%, but I think